What if the ending you hated wasn't an accident? What if the character you loved, the one who stood by the doctor through storms and starlight, was never meant to leave that way? And what if I told you the actor herself stayed silent for months, only to break that silence now with words that don't just defend the ending, but tear the lid off a truth the BBC never wanted you to hear? That's what happened this week. And what she said, it doesn't just confirm the rumors, it ignites them. Because this isn't about one character. It's about how much control actors really have over their fates in a universe run by streaming giants and brand guardians. And here's the kicker. The star didn't just speak her mind. She left us a breadcrumb trail that points to something far bigger. A buried rewrite that could have changed everything if it hadn't been killed in the edit. So buckle up, because what you thought you knew about that finale. Wrong. Completely wrong. Let's rewind. The season 15 finale? The episode that broke Twitter faster than a Dalek in a glass factory. The big goodbye. The character fans adored from day one. Sharp, fearless, full of heart, torn away in a way that didn't feel earned. No closure, no grand sacrifice. Just gone. Some called it poetic. Others called it the cheapest exit in modern Who history. You know the threads? RTD ruined her arc? Disney pushed for this ending? Where's the emotional payoff we were promised? And for months? Silence. The BBC didn't comment. Russell T Davies gave us his classic, wait and see, smirk in interviews. And the actor, not a word. Until now. In a single interview, a question changed everything. How do you feel about your character's ending? And she laughed. Cold, sharp, like she'd been waiting to answer that for a long time. Then she said this, I'll be honest, it wasn't the ending we discussed when I signed on. Not even close. Things changed. And let's just say, not all of those changes were creative. Read that again. Not all of those changes were creative. That's not just tea. That's a Molotov cocktail aimed straight at the boardroom. Because in that one sentence, she confirmed what we've been whispering about for months. That the ending wasn't purely a story decision. It was something else. Something bigger. Something corporate. When she says, not all changes were creative, she's talking about pressure. Pressure from who? You already know. Streaming giants. Brand strategists. Executives whose job isn't to tell stories. It's to engineer engagement. And suddenly, everything makes sense. Why her exit felt rushed. Why key emotional beats were missing. Why the big goodbye didn't feel like goodbye at all. Because according to two separate crew insiders, there was an entire alternate ending. Shot, locked, before the notes came down. And what happened next? Reshoots. Edits. An ending designed to trend, not to heal. Let me tell you, when I heard this, I had flashbacks to the season 4, Journey's End, chaos. Remember when Rose just walked off into Bad Wolf Bay with a clone? Yeah, that felt messy too. But at least that had payoff. This felt like they pulled the handbrake mid-arc because a spreadsheet told them to. And here's my favorite fan theory so far. One Redditor said, the BBC didn't write an ending. They wrote a trailer for the spin-off they haven't announced yet. And honestly, that's starting to sound less like a joke and more like the truth. Do you think her exit was a bold twist, or a betrayal of her character? BLD, if you love the shock factor, or betrayal, if you think they butchered her story. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button right now. Because in the next few minutes, I'm about to show you something no one else is talking about. The forbidden draft of her ending, why it got buried, and the secret phrase from Disney. BBC documents that could rewrite Doctor Who's future. And trust me, once you hear it, you'll never look at this franchise the same way again. After that interview went viral, fans started digging. And guess what surfaced next? A memo, marked, internal use only, sent during the last 3 weeks of shooting. Subject line, engagement optimization finale sequence. One line in particular set off alarm bells, ensure globally shareable moments in the climax. Character separation should prioritize future expansion potential. Read that again. Future expansion potential. Translation. Your favorite character didn't leave because the story demanded it. She left because a spreadsheet said, more spin, off hooks, less closure. And that actor's comment about, "Not all change is being creative." This memo proves it. Before the rewrites, her final scene was nothing like what aired. It wasn't abrupt. It wasn't a vanishing act. It was a goodbye so raw, so human, the crew reportedly cried behind the monitors. Picture this: the Doctor and her character, standing at the TARDIS doors, rain against alien glass. She whispers, "You'll keep running, won't you? Even when I'm not there to stop you." The Doctor replies, "Always." But not the same. And then, the twist: she walks away. Not to die, not to disappear into narrative limbo, but to lead her own impossible life, with a choice that mattered. That scene deleted. Why? Because according to notes I've seen, prolonged emotional closure reduces social share velocity. Let that sink in. They cut emotion for engagement. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a pattern. Disney has one goal: make Doctor Who a global mega franchise. Marvel style, spin-offs, crossovers, multiverse arcs that never really end. And that means every character exit has to do two things: keep the door open for a comeback, create a clip moment that trends worldwide. Closure that doesn't trend. Unanswered questions do. And so, your beloved character didn't get an ending. She got a brand transition. Here's where it gets scary. Buried in the joint BBC-Disney strategy doc is a term that should chill every Woovian: continuity elasticity. Sounds harmless? Until you read the definition. Flexible reinterpretation of established lore for engagement-driven narrative opportunities. Translation? Kanan is now a marketing tool. The rules of time travel, regeneration, all elastic. Stretch when you need a twist. Snap back when fans revolt. And guess what the season 15 finale was? The first field test of this policy. Do you think canon should be protected at all costs? Or do you think bending the rules is okay if it keeps the show alive? Comment below. Varada Canon. If you want sacred rules, or BMDIT, if you're okay with this new era of fluid continuity. Because the next part, it's the nuclear reveal. The real reason this actor walked into that interview and threw shade like a solar flare. The secret meeting. The casting list that almost broke RTD. And the reboot plan that could erase everything you know. Behind the scenes, the tension didn't start during editing. It started on set. Multiple crew sources confirm that during the final week of filming, our star was pulled into a meeting with BBC higher-ups and Disney's franchise team. Why? Because she was resisting last-minute changes to her exit scene. She reportedly said, "This isn't what we agreed on. This doesn't honor her story." And what was the response? Something chilling? "This is bigger than one character." That's the exact phrase from the leaked transcript. This is bigger than one character? Translation: her arc didn't matter. Her closure didn't matter. The brand mattered. And here's the bombshell according to someone in the room. She considered walking out mid-shoot. She stayed because of loyalty to the crew, but she left that day knowing this wasn't her ending. It was theirs. This is what the meeting was really about: Project Eternal. A plan that will either save Doctor Who or erase everything you love. Here's what the internal document says. Project Eternal consolidates Doctor Who as a global IP through a unified, accessible narrative model, minimizing lore barriers and enabling evergreen reboots every 8-10 years. That's corporate speak for soft reboot coming. Past canon, optional. Characters you love, retconned into mythic figures for merchandising flexibility. And guess when they're planning the reset trigger? 2027. If season 16 fails to hit global engagement metrics, Doctor Who will restart. A single timeline. One Doctor, one brand identity. Think I'm exaggerating? Then explain why her exit was rewritten to feel unfinished. Because unfinished stories are reboot hooks. Let me tell you about the moment that was filmed and then erased from existence. Originally, the Doctor and her character shared a goodbye so heartbreaking that even the prop team cried. Final shot: the Doctor watching from the TARDIS door, her silhouette shrinking into a burning horizon. The score swelling into something ancient and tragic. Then she turns back and says, "Don't wait for me. I won't wait for you." That was the ending. A full stop, a promise of separation, so final it would echo through fandom for decades. And why did it die? Because the note came down, closure kills return potential. Yes, that's a real quote from the reshoot directive. They literally deleted closure. Because you can't monetize closure. Her silence wasn't loyalty, it was survival, contracts, NDAs. All the legal walls actors left behind. But now, she's free. And she's not just defending herself, she's warning us. Because if Project Eternal happens, the Doctor who we know, the one built on chaos and canon and heartbreak, becomes a curated IP product. And that's not sci-fi. That's happening now. Do you want Doctor Who to stay messy, weird, and full of heartbreak? Or do you want the clean, global franchise version that Disney is pushing for? Comment below. MSWHO if you want stories over spreadsheets, or GLOBELWHO if you're ready for the reset. And while you're thinking about that, remember this: silence is a choice too. And if we don't speak up, the canon we love becomes just another marketing line. If this pulled the curtain back for you, if you want more secrets, more leaks, and the truth they don't want you to hear, then subscribe right now. Because in my next BRIAK Dio Bubble M, I'm revealing Disney's secret Doctor shortlist for Project Eternal, names RTD didn't approve. And one of those names? It's going to break fandom in half. Until then, I'm James Roxer. Stay strange, stay suspicious, and never forget, in the wrong hands, time isn't a friend, it's a weapon.